What's happening, everybody? This is Thedos International Sunday edition. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of things have happened since we last went live last week. A lot of great news. We're going to talk about all of it. But before we do, I am joined here by Martial. I am, of course, Adi. And Martial, how are we doing today?
Well, people need to know that tomorrow it's French National Day. So today is a good day for me. Tour de France is on for the few people that watches it in Europe, and yeah. But I'm getting excited for the preseason to start. It has been horribly long uh, since the cup final. We are not used to such summers with Olympiacos. So yeah, it's getting long. It's getting very long. I just want to see the team play. Either it's again a real team, amateurs. I don't know the veteran part of the club. I don't know, but I need to have some friendlies.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%, man. You start to get a little bit restless because nothing's happening. It's just transfer news, players out, players in, and that gets old very quickly. Like once July hits for me, and I've heard and read 100 different names, that gets very old for me. Very old indeed. But I'm with you. I can't wait till the first friendlies start. Tomorrow kicks off official preseason for the club. They're not going to Netherlands yet. I think they do one or two training sessions in Greece and then they leave and then they go to the Netherlands. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Everyone's here chiming in. A couple dozen of you guys have already tuned in. Let us know where you're calling from, or let us know where you're messaging from at least. Dermis Lona here with a comment. Greetings, Adi and Martial. Hope you're not having too much of a heat wave where you live. Well, it's 34 now where I am, so it was worse earlier in the week. We had 40 during the week,
Yeah,
so better
yeah.
now. Thunderstorms coming through, so it should make everything cooler. But guys, before we get started with the actual show, for those of you that are tuning in, don't forget to like and subscribe. Every engagement helps us find more red and white fans. And your engagement has been absolutely huge. We want to thank each and every one of you because yesterday we noticed that we broke 1 million views on the channel. We actually broke it over a month ago. And I had gotten an email about it, and I guess I just like passed by or deleted it, and maybe I just moved on from it, went in the junk. But they had sent us a notification, and a month ago we broke 1 million views. So that's really massive for us. For many channels, it's probably not a big deal. There's some people that have more subscribers than we have total views. I get that, but it's a huge deal for us. So thank you all for the support. And again, if you're tuning in for the first time or you don't subscribe to us already, we only need 7 subscribers to hit the 7K mark. 7 subscribers to hit 7,000 subs on YouTube. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and get in here, join the community, help us continue to grow the red and white family. Now, you can also support us on Patreon as well. We have a bunch of different content tiers. You can join the WhatsApp group for only $1 a month. The WhatsApp group is worth it. It is worth it by itself. Simply because of the banter. You can also get a little bit of Martial with his morning musings, as I call it. We're going to make a book about his football philosophies. So don't miss a chance to check that out. You also can get access to the scouting reports. Content tier, we do extra episodes, usually involving something with analysis and an interview. We've already got 2 scouting reports on there, in addition to the one from last month, which was Remy Cabella. Diogo Nascimento, I am working on that, and that should be recorded. If I have the time, I will get that done tonight. So check us out on Patreon. Also, there's only 1 day left. Today is the last day you can enter for a chance to win the 100-year anniversary jersey. I believe on the 14th we are picking the winner, which is tomorrow. So go on IG. If you don't have an Instagram, make one, join, and then check that out for your chance to win a 100-year centenary jersey. They have not been the easiest things to find. They have not been the easiest things to get. So enter for your chance to win. One lucky person will get that jersey. Now, Martial, 2 big signings we're going to start talking about today. Lorenzo Scipioni, who signed in between the show and this show, a little bit dragged out, but he was officially announced. And then earlier today, they announced the second midfield signing, the third signing of the transfer window, Diogo Nascimento. Very interesting player. And as I mentioned already, the scouting report for that will be available on Patreon, hopefully by tonight. How are you feeling so far? Fans that are frustrated about how slow signings have been since June. Many expected a full slate before preseason. How are you feeling now? We already had Cabela that was done before the summer started. And then now, in the space of a week, we brought in our second and third transfers of the summer. How are we feeling?
Well, I would say positive because those are the profile I wanted to see at the club since a very long time. Because uh, I can't pretend I know Scipioni and Nascimento. It would be lying. I've never watched any of them play. Uh, but the fact is, for me, the preseason for Olympiacos is made for that. We don't have any qualifiers, and a part of Costulas, we didn't lost any key player. So it means that the group that will go to Netherlands to start the preseason will already have some kind of core. And we have Cabela joining it, and we have two young profiles that most likely needed a full preseason to understand the reality of Olympiacos and to get some minutes during friendlies. And I'm glad we had both Scipioni and Nascimento early and before the preseason because I think those are the profile that need to be there from day one. Uh, the summer has been quieter than I was expecting, and I think it's quite positive because uh, in a club like Olympiacos, when something isn't quiet, it means that we are signing too many players. That's the reality. Uh, so yeah, the core of the team like is very solid. The only question mark we have nowadays is around players like Yazici, around I don't know who's gonna be probably the only question mark right now is Velde. Like the likeliest player to be cut is Velde right now, I would say. But a part of that, you're getting to preseason with like 25, 26 players. And I won't say all lights are green right now, but most of them are green. And it wasn't the case, I don't know, like 1 year before, 2 years before, 3 years before. We were getting with preseason with more problems, way more problems.
I'm with you there. And for me, we've talked a lot about the approach. We talked about it last week. I talked about it with Vageli, and even the week before with Vageli, the approach to the transfers. And I had been saying for this summer, my big thing was that I wanted to make sure that the transfers that we made were thought out, they were scouted finds, and we were doing a great job of actually evaluating the talent that came in. When the news was coming out from media and insiders that Olympiacos wanted to make four signings after Cabela before preseason, I did not think that was going to be possible. I thought that was ambitious, beyond ambitious. I didn't think there was any way we were bringing in four signings before preseason when we know how difficult it is to make some deals and that the club what the club has spent traditionally on players. The player that we end up spending the big money on, assuming that we do spend big money like 8 to 10 million on a player, that player is going to come in August. And I always thought that was going to be the case. That's when people get desperate, players that would not normally play in Greece, that's when they're going to eventually decide to come if they don't have any other career prospects. But I didn't expect that we were going to bring more than one or two signings, period. So the for me, I just wanted to make sure the signings that we brought in were well thought out, great value, young, even if a little bit risky, and that we were just building off of the core that we had. And so far, so good. We brought in Scipioni. We knew we needed to replace Stamenic. Stamenic, who gave you basically nothing this season. Handful of appearances, even when he played. For the most part, he wasn't super impressive. Just wasn't a good fit. You've now brought in a kid, Scipioni, who is a dog. And The way he runs, the way he presses, his aggressiveness, there's no way we don't get something out of that player versus a player who was more passive in Stamenic. Then there's Diogo Nascimento, who is, and I'll elaborate more on this in the scouting report. For me, he's a replacement for Andre Horta, nobody else, because of the way he plays, what he occupies. We just put a radar chart on social media comparing him to Horta, and you see they kind of occupy a similar niche. So you have two very young players, both who the players that they're replacing, they offer a little bit extra in terms of their toolkit. Diogo Nascimento, Horta was great distributing the ball, but he wasn't a guy that would dribble and take players on. Diogo Nascimento can. He's so difficult to press. He has incredible ball control. And you have these kids, they're incredibly scouted finds, great resale value. Spent 4 million on one of 3.7 million, I think, in the end, on one of them, on Scipione for 80%, or sorry, and they retain 20% sell on. And then Diogo Nascimento is 3.9 million. And I mean, this is amazing. I mean, this isn't ridiculous money we're spending, and we have great value here. This is what I want. You have Remy Cabella, the veteran who can kind of play almost anywhere. He's in incredible shape, even if he's old and people don't like how old he is. These are the signings I want to see. We're preserving a young core with resale value, players that can grow into the team. That's what I like to see. I don't want to see a transfer summer full of 30-year-old has-beens and selling off our primary talent. So if we're looking at those two signings, I like what we've done in the center midfield. Is it a little bit risky? Sure. We don't know if those guys are going to hit the ground running, but we've kept enough of the core. Santiago Eze, we've kept Christos Mouzakitis so far, and then Danny Garcia. You have enough stability there of your core. These two pieces just add to that, and it makes the risk a little bit less.
The question I have for the people that will listen to the show is how far do you think the team that ended the season is compared to the level required to win a game in Champions League? Uh, because if you throw, let's say we sign a Champions League quality winger that we are chasing since I don't remember when. If you sign a player like let's say it's Saint Maximin, for example, or a player like that, the entire shape of the team that Mendilibar has been building over the past month, let's say since January when Yazici started to play good, you need to break that in order for the winger to express himself. Because if you sign a Champions League winger, he's probably not going to fit into what Mendilibar wants at first. And my concern is that if we throw too much individual quality at one time in the team, it's going to break the overall balance of the team that is, for me, the main quality of Olympiacos right now. And if you looked at the first new formula of Champions League, you've seen that probably the teams that had the team structure collected points in Champions League. Like I can give the example of French clubs like Brest, like Lille. They didn't have the best player on paper, but they had a team, and most of the team you will face in Champions League will be like, for example, Porto that we face in Europa League. You know what I mean? Like they have talent, but somehow they are struggling, and it depends on the dynamics you will have around those games. What matters
Mhm.
is the context of Olympiacos good enough to secure wins in Greece to allow us to play Champions League with confidence?
Exactly. I'm with
Because
you here. And oh, go
it,
ahead, Marcel.
no,
Finish your
if
thought.
you remember the game against Lyon, for example, the state of the club back then, we were not able to play for the win. If you look at the lineup of Mendilibar that day, he wasn't happy with the team he had back then. And if we
Mhm.
played the game again, if we played this game again later in the season, I don't think we'll lose like that because we barely played that game. And as soon as in Europe, you can be a real pain in the ass for any team if you have a structure. I'm not gonna say we can win prime Paris Saint-Germain right now if we play them, but we will have arguments. If we don't sign a top quality winger, the kind of winger the fans want. I don't even have a name because the winger people keep saying they want a winger, they want a top winger, Champions League winger, and if when you ask them, but who's that winger? Can you name me like two, three people we could sign? And they don't have any name because I don't think you can find a top winger right now. That's my
especially
opinion.
for
I
what
might be
we can
wrong.
afford. Right, and
Yeah,
especially for
exactly.
what we can afford, and then especially for considering, the ones that we want to pay that money on, they don't want to come to Greece right now. That's another thing people seem to underestimate. Borja Sainz, Brian Hill, Zaragoza. Like, do these guys want to come to Olympiacos? Zaragoza wants to stay in Spain if he can. Brian Hill wants to stay in a top league. Borja
Yeah,
Sainz wanted to stay in England. He's now going to Porto, and he's going for a lot more money than we were ever going to
yeah.
offer. So this is, unfortunately, this is where we sit, and we have to find players that can grow into us. That maybe we have to find the ones before everybody else does, take that risk, and we're probably going to sign the one proven winger who will be a winger that probably's been on his luck, maybe hasn't had a great career the last 2 seasons, be the guy that we end up signing and spending money for. That's probably it's how it's going to be. Whether that's Zaragoza or not, I don't know. But this is the case. And Martial, I'm with you. There's another thing I'm going to throw in here, and we talked about it last week, is that the wingers that people want to see and the profiles that they like are not the profiles Mendelibar wants. They're not the profiles he wants as a player.
Yeah, I
And that's
agree.
the problem. That's
No, no,
another thing. People keep thinking like, oh, we're gonna find another Fortunis or Yazici. We'll touch on the Yazici bit. But guys, Fortunis had to make a miraculous turnaround in his play style to accommodate what Mendelibar wanted. That
yeah.
doesn't happen. That was already a miracle. You're not going to see that multiple times. That was a miracle that Fortunis did that. A miracle that required stars to align with his kids, his mindset in life. So we also have to find a player that Mendilibar wants, a profile he actually likes, because he doesn't like the profiles that some of you like, the tens, the more flary type of players. He doesn't want that. He wants his wingers to run and cross.
But man, I don't know how to say the word in English, but the winger thing, it's something that I have in mind because look, for example, you see PSG, they sign Kvaratskhelia in January, and I think he changed the whole season of PSG because on
He did.
paper there isn't any winger like him on the market. He defends like no one, but it doesn't affect how he plays offensively. And but this kind of winger is super rare. And if you put that into the Olympiacos reality, look at the team we played in Europe. Look at the a team like FCSB, for example. They had I don't recall right now 3 players they had, but they made a decent Europa League run because they had a plan, a system that works. And I truly hoped that the fact we had the best defense in Europa League and overall did a fantastic campaign would make people realize that the winger that the coach wants is more important than the winger that the fans would want to see at the club. And also, something you said that is very important to realize is Champions League means peanuts to player compared to the fact that they have to play in Greece because we are a Greek club. We are a Greek club that plays Champions League. That is a fact. But a guy like Saragossa, for example, if he ends up in Betis Seville, for example, he needs like 5 good games to be called to the national team. How much he would need with Olympiacos to even be considered to be called for the national team. I think it's something that plays harder than the Champions League alone. because he's gonna play Champions League one day if he wants to. Because Zaragoza, for example, will have, let's say, Olympiacos offers for 1, 2, 3 years. We're gonna try this guy for many years, maybe, and at the end of it, they end up in Greece because they can play Europe in Greece and not in Spain, but they want to exhaust every option they have to remain on better leagues, if I can say that.
Yeah, yeah. Martial, I think that's absolutely right. And we've talked about this before that a lot of people were overvaluing Champions League when it came to us being able to attract players. That now we were in Champions League guaranteed, we could bring these players quicker. And I was always of the opinion that we would be able to attract a certain level of player easier, like the less well known players, the ones that are looking to make a jump. They need a stepping stone into Europe. We're going to look much better to them. But there were a lot of people that thought that the presence of Champions League would mean everybody wants to play for us, but that's not the case. If Greece becomes a top 10 league again, then maybe it makes it easier for some people. But unfortunately, because we play in Greece and it's not a top 10 league right now, you are always going to have players that if they have a chance to go to a France, to a Spain, to an England, they'd rather do that. They'd rather wait. And Olympiacos then has to just keep moving. So this is the position that we find ourselves in. We have to find the players that are relatively unknown, looking to make a jump into European football and use Olympiacos as a stepping stone. Do we want them to have passion and badge while they're here? Of course, absolutely. But this is the reality of that situation. And we have to operate like that. We're not like Galatasaray or Fenerbahce. We can't throw so many tens of millions at multiple players in a single window. The money's not there for us yet. Not until the level of Greece from a marketing perspective improves. So
And
this is where we are.
the state of Fenerbahce is that they can't even hijack a deal for a player that was about to go to Milan AC.
Right.
That's the state of Turkish football right now. Does this guy will I don't recall the name of the guy, but does this guy will be good this season? Like, will he be even as good as Rodinei? I'm not even sure he will.
Uh, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I mean, there's another aspect of this, Martial, and we talked about it very briefly last week, but I wanted to spend more time on it again this week, especially considering the announcements that we had earlier in the week. We've talked for years about how the club has to put a better focus on the academy. And we talked about last summer after we won the Conference League that with the Youth League win, the Conference League, this was the year the club could really make the pivot and really show that it has an intent to use the academy and further the products, not just the successful Academy League, Youth League players, but continue the work that the academy had started. We don't want just Gostulas, Muzakitis, Papacanelos, Kutsidis, God willing that he does well, or even Bakulas. We don't want that to be, oh, that was our golden generation of the academy, and then for the next 10 years, there's no academy Greek products that come out. We don't want that. We wanted to see the club put an emphasis on it and say, no, this is not just a once in a 10-year thing. We are going to continue this success. This year, Martial, this summer, we have seen a coordinated effort by the club to continue the success of the academy and approach the B team with a better mindset than before. Look at the players that we have brought in to the academy, Martial. Just this week, they announced the signings of Colocotroni, who we knew was on the way. Colocotroni was the player from Asteras, the Asteras Academy, that was an incredible find. And we're looking very forward. Also, for the nationalists here, anybody that has a little bit of a nationalistic inclination, it'll be great to see Colocotroni suit up and play in the Karaiskaki. That would actually be freaking hysterical, but that's besides the point. Eric Hamza, the former Valencia Academy product, and we just signed two other guys, Agelakis and Nikos Zouglis. Talents that Agelakis is a massive, massive forward, hugely tall, 17 years old. And I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Efthymio. I was confusing the other two who came from Asteras. Thank you so much, Efthymio, for correcting me on Colocotroni. He came from Egaleo. He did not come from Asteras. It's Zuglis and Agielakis that were the Asteras. Thank you so much for that. But you bring those players in, and then on top of that, we just signed another 15-year-old kid, a Panetolikos product, who's supposed to be an incredible talent, Tsatsaragos. These moves for the academy are happening alongside. These are moves that we're doing while we're also trying to further the first team. So everybody wants the winger, winger, winger. Everybody's tunnel vision focused on the winger, but the club is moving in all directions. We're not only focusing on building the first team to be better and sustainable and to get products that we can grow and then sell off to continue to help us buy better and better players, but at the same time, we are strengthening the talent that we're putting in the pipeline of the academy. That is the most important thing here. If your only focus is, oh, we haven't signed a big winger, then you have fucking missed the point of what is happening this summer. This summer, we're building off of the success from last summer. We realize that for the academy to succeed, we have to continue to load it with the best talent that's available in Greece and eventually outside of Greece too. That's why we have Yusuf Tai in there. That's why we have the Gambian kid, Lamine Silla. That is what you have to do to get academy success, because all these kids, they might not be successful. You know that, Martial. Look, the youth league team. How many kids did something for Olympiacos in the youth league winning side? Two.
Yeah. No, but
Three if you count Papa Canelos.
my opinion is that when I recall saying that in the post years ago that playing the youth league would change the club. And I think it quite did, because the youth league is way better than the under 19 league you can play. But the thing is, the playing the youth league last season, after having won the youth league and without any B team alive, that it wasn't a mistake. But the youth league is a very specific competition. It can create fake, for me, fake expectation, because when you do win the youth league, when you look at the team that won the youth league, most of the time you have 2 3 players above the level, and it's very easy to find the 3 players that were above the level for Olympiacos. That was Kostulas, Musakitis, and Papacanelos. All of them were
Right.
already minus Papacanelos, probably ready to play first team for Olympiacos. And last season, I had the impression that we kind of forced the team to be as good as possible in the youth league, and it might have affected the, I don't know, maybe Papacanelos was, he was playing with the under 19 and the missions on the youth league, where he was supposed to be the leader of the team. Almost, it's not easy for players to bounce between those teams. And next season, I hope that the B team that comes back will take away some pressure from the youth league. What matters is not to win the youth league every year, is to have a team in the youth league every year. You know what I mean? And if the first team qualify for Champions League over multiple years, successive years, we will play the youth league, and the players will play under 19 league, youth league, some of them in the B team, and that's how you close the gap between under 19 and the first team. And I'm glad that the B team is back again, but for me, some players that won the youth league were kind of uh, let down, or I don't know the word. It's not let down, but like Kutsidis, Kostula's brother. Uh, you
Right.
know what I mean? They were due to play 25 game in Super League 2. Like
Yes.
Kutsidis lost a year, and it's not possible, because I don't think this guy will be a center back of Olympiacos in the future. But if he can be a Super League 1 player for 2 3 years and maybe come back to the club later, I don't know. Like he go to play to Panetolikos, Ofi, those kind of club level to improve, and then he comes back. But if you don't play any game at all, that's a mistake.
Yeah. No, listen, man, I'm with you. And there's a few comments coming in that are addressing some of the stuff that we're talking about now. So first I'll address this question from Look at My Eyes DC regarding the winger. He says, "What if September comes and we have no winger like last year?" It's a possibility. It could happen. Maybe I'm not expecting us to sign the winger, the big winger at least, until August anyway. If it happens, it happens. We have to wait and see. What my preference is for the transfer summer, I like to wait until the window is over before I judge the entire transfer summer. I did the same thing last year and the year before. Because I depending, I can evaluate individual players. Okay, what's this guy's fit? What's this guy's fit? But at the end of the summer, when you actually see all the signings you made, you can then identify like, okay, this is what the club's going for. And last summer, we had misses. We had a couple of really good hits too. So we have to wait and see what happens. Maybe you're right. It could happen. Maybe we don't sign a winger until September. That will look badly on the club that they couldn't do something in the whole summer, but we have to wait. No sense stressing out over it now. Right now, the business that's being done is methodical and it is good. That is what matters. So the club is making moves in the right direction. I get that it's not as fast as some of you want it to be, but there are so many moves happening on so many different areas for us that I'm okay with the winger position being filled later if it means that we're shored up in so many different other areas of the field. I'm okay with that. And I can come to terms with that. And ideally, all of you guys should be as well. A couple other comments coming in here. Gadilis, for the most part, Olympiacos has always done well with getting good midfielders, but Imaste, Priris, Ekitora, now we need serious wingers. Hopefully they can get it done. Yeah, that's what we have more resources this year and we have time on our side. So ideally, that means you should be able to get something done. Then there's a couple comments here from Mike Scobb. Bakulas and Papacanelos are investments for me. They can give both things. The level depends on their work. And is Rio Ave the B.5 team then? It is in a way. We talked about this last week, but go ahead, Marcel. Rio Ave is our B team.
I think Rio Ave this season is going to be even more interesting than the team they had last season, because that was the last part of what I wanted to say before. It makes perfect sense to have Siledopoulos coaching Rio Ave, but it comes for me 1 year, not too late, but the you would knew probably Papa Canelos has a winger needed a loan straight off youth league, or at least in January. And
Yeah.
I might be wrong because I'm not in the club, but I don't see the point of having Siladopoulos around Mendilibar for the past season. But you might say if the team was that successful, it's because Siladopoulos was helpful. But the thing is, in every club, in every multi-ownership system, the coach of the team have a philosophy that comes close to the main team. The main team has to be Nottingham, but if Marinakis wants to develop Olympiacos, Rio Ave needs to have either a Greek coach or someone close to Olympiacos that uses the youngster. And I did watch a lot of Rio Ave games last season, and the team was lacking a shape. It wasn't a team because it was Nottingham rejects and Olympiacos youngsters. It can't work. But this year, I don't know if Hendo is going to play there for the whole season, Bakulas, but they have Papacanelos, Athanasiou. Uh, I
Rusai.
don't know if Vruzai, if they will have more players, but this club will either make the player improve or have their value improve, because imagine Bakulas play like 30 game with Rio Ave, and if it doesn't have the level to come back to Olympiacos, if you play 30 games with Rio Ave, you're probably worthing like 2-3 million already.
Right.
It's not gonna have that with the B team.
No, And also, Martial, we also have to remind people that the cases of Baculas and Papacanelos, okay, these guys are not old players. They're still pretty young. And if they're getting first team minutes at Rio Ave, it's impossible for us to have all academy players playing for the first team. It's not realistic. But these guys going and playing in Rio Ave, playing first team football, that is success for us. We have kids that are actually making the next step. Maybe they come back and do something for Olympiacos in the future of their career, like Galoyeropoulos is going to do. He's going to be a part of this team. He will be our fifth choice center back. He had 2 seasons on loan at Volos that did very well for him. That is success in the academy. Whether we end up selling them off or moving them on elsewhere for whatever reason, that is a success. The kid that we just moved on to Kifisia, Christos Ligdas, we sold him and we retain a portion of his player rights or a percentage of sell on. And we have a buyback clause. We have the first buyback. We can meet an offer for Ligdas if he does well in Kifisia. These are successes from the academy. What did you pay for that player? Nothing. An academy kid's wage. He was part of a great academy setup. Now another professional team has him, and you get a piece of a sale if he does well for them, or you can get him back if he improves. Like, this is success. Not every player is going to be Kostulas. Not every player is going to be Mozakitis. But if you have players like this, Siopis, Nicolau, little moves like this for a few million a pop, that's a success. Playing professional football elsewhere, those are successes.
And I totally agree with that. And I will go even further that we did not assess what it's like to win youth league because how can I say that? But in the youth league team that wins the competition, you will have two, three player that will be rostered for the team and will play first team football. But if like 80% of them can be professional player, that's already massive. And it comes back to what I said on the WhatsApp group. If a guy like Androutsos for me is probably Androutsos and Bruzai are probably the two best academic product we had between the first version of Red Sauce and Musakitis Kostulas because Androutsos still plays first division football. Yes, he is at Offi, but he has like 10 games with the Ethniki, almost 300 pro games at 28. And if Bakulas can be that, it will be fantastic already. An academy produce the main goal of the academy, in my opinion, for a club like Olympiacos is to fill the gaps the team have. And I don't know, a guy like Bruno, I truly like Bruno, but an academy should produce a backup left back for a team like Olympiacos. You shouldn't have to buy a backup fullback. A guy like Karageropoulos is not fully made at the academy, but he's better than Abi, he's better than Freire, than Porroso, than all of those players we used. You know what I mean? The academy main purpose is to avoid spending on mid players to fill the gaps you might have in the squad.
Yep. And the thing with like the case of Galgueropoulos, he's coming back to you after spending 2 seasons on load. He's 20 years old, Martial. He's 20 years old. He's probably worth what, a couple of million by now? And
Yeah.
that in itself, like the value there, I don't think people appreciate that enough. The fact that you have a player that, okay, he wasn't good enough to be part of the team. You sent him out. He did well. And now he's slotting into the team, part of your roster, and adds value. And that's going to be a sellable asset. That is a player that we already know. We've talked about it. There are scouts, especially from Dutch teams, that have been looking at Algeropoulos. We know. We've spoken to them. So all of this is so important because it's showing that there's life in the academy. There's also life after Kostulas and Muzakitis. Last summer, we had 5 of the academy kids go to preseason. This year, we have 2 so far. Depending on what happens, maybe 3. We'll find out tomorrow. if Paris Plionis goes with them. That is success, Martial.
No,
Stavros
no,
Pneumonides, Liatsikoras, Plionisco, even if only Pneumonides is the only one that gets rostered, that is success. Having academy players, even if it's just one of them, consistently in the Olympiacos roster year after year after year, that is success for the academy. All of this is success.
no, I completely agree with you. And but the thing is, it's difficult to have people realize that it's already massive to produce someone like Vruzai, someone like Edoy, like Andruchos. You talk about Nicolaou. This guy has almost like 200 games in Italian football, either first and second division. You can't. You could not even name any player from AEK, Panathinaikos, even because a lot of people talk about PAOK. Yeah, they have insane academy products. They had Solis, Yanoulis, Konstantelias, Kulierakis. But if you look at those are the star of any academy. And I don't debate the insane quality of PAOK Academy. But what truly matters to me is the mid range of player. Where is Tsigaras right now? Where is Liratsis, Tsaousis? Uh, all of those players that were supposed to be good academy product and ended up flopping in Volos, Asteras, abroad before coming back to Greece. Olympiacos has higher standards and we produce way better players, but it's super hard for them to play in the first team. That's it. And maybe having Rio Ave right now will not make them good enough to play for Olympiacos, but at least we won't lose money on them. We won't have to send Chassim Lassi in French second division and have Ajaccio cashing on him instead of Olympiacos. That's the
Exactly.
purpose of Rio Ave for me.
I think everybody would agree with you there. And I've seen some comments about Rio Ave and competing. Rio Ave will be happy if they finish mid-table. Like if you look at where they finished in Portugal historically, these guys are not usually title contenders outside of maybe like one season or two seasons in their history. They're not perennial title contenders. So if they're in the top 10, these guys are happy. Everybody's happy. So I would like to see them contend for the title because that means something about the players we sent, but I don't necessarily believe that that's going to be a case. Regarding Tomas Palacios, the center back from Inter that we're linked with, I have not watched any tape on him yet. I'm still finishing the scouting report for Diogo Nascimento. And once I finish that, then I will be looking into probably Santino Andino because it looks like he's more likely to be somebody we bring in. But Palacios is probably the first left-footed center back we've been linked with all summer. And that he actually seems realistic. Is he a Champions League caliber center back? Maybe not, but he's played professional games in Italy. He's left-footed center back and he's young with resale value. Considering we already know who our starters are and we have a nice depth pool between Kalogeropoulos and Biancon, I don't necessarily think he needs to be somebody that's played Champions League games. It would have been nice. Would have been nice to have a veteran, but I have to look at the tape to really tell you more. Question here for
Get,
Nicholas Semidis. Oh, go ahead, Marcial, before I answer this question.
I was about to throw a joke because I have been reading on Gazzetta right now that Gerasimos Mitoglu belongs to the four player that has been cut by AEK. So if we need a center back, who says no to Gerasimos Mitoglu? Olympiacos
Um,
maybe says no.
I was about to say, but Nicola here asking, does that mean the Olympiacos B team is dead? No, it's not. That we're kickstarting the B team again. We actually brought in players like Valbuena is going to be playing for the B team to help guide the young kids. We're bringing back former Olympiacos academy products. Liatzos is back. Martinez is back. You know what I mean? We're trying to bring in some players, some that are maybe more veteran, to help and have a nice combination of youth from the academy, the young kids like teenagers, as well as some older that maybe need more time to do something so that they can find a better move or maybe find their way into the Olympiacos first team. You never know. So
Yeah.
it's the
But
the B team. The B team's there as just another step for the academy. Rio Ave is a bigger step in my opinion than the B team is, like Olympiacos B team. But for a lot of these players that kind of get lost in transition or need somewhere to take another step that other players have already taken and they have not, you need to have the B team, but you need to have a real vision and focus for the B team for
also,
that to be the
yeah,
case.
in the B team also you offers immediate solutions in case of a need, but also you can't have very talented player in Super League Two because the need in question might be zero. Now I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Players in the B team, the good ones like Yazici, for example, are
Yeah.
supposed to be in missions if we need the guy, but we can't have Bakulas playing in the B team for the whole season and make like three cameos with the first team. It's better for him playing three times with Rio Ave.
Yeah. Look, I'm with you there, Martial. I'm with you there 100%. Um, Now, Martial, rather than, we can talk about this kind of philosophy regarding building a team and players targeting
The only
hours.
thing I would say at the end,
Mhm.
it's I think probably maybe it's the case already, but we almost need a sports director for the B team only. Maybe
Right.
I guess it's Anigo's main role, but you need in my opinion, you need a B team manager, B team sports
Yes.
director. Sorry, because it worries me a little bit that Martinez is coming back because I think it does not have the level at all to be useful for the B team. And on top of that, the main weakness of Super League Two can be uh, the main opportunity for Olympiacos because Super League Two has to be one of the most fragile professional league you can find in Europe, like in terms
Right.
of money, contracts duration. And I think it's easy to poach player on performing teams to fill some gaps we might have in the team. And I think Martinez wasn't the best profile. I hope I'm wrong, but maybe a sports director that attends Super League Two games will do the job.
We'll find out. We'll see what happens. Maybe he's there to push one of the younger kids, like who was playing left back this year? Was it Dama? Adonis Dama for the U19. Anyway, maybe he's there to help push whoever the real prospect is. But anyway, that's besides the point. Martial, I wanted to, because we're already about 48 minutes in here, I wanted to begin to close the show on a final topic and talk about some of the outbound movement because, while we've sold Costulas, we've had some players leave, some like younger talent, like Ligdas we already talked about. I believe Precates, the captain of the youth team, we were expecting him to sign a contract renewal, but I don't think he has yet. But anyway, outside of some of the academy players and outside of some of the movement that's gone on that end, and of course Bobby's Costulas, the players that are looking outbound or players that we could sell or get rid of and leave off the roster. Yazici is one that we've talked about quite a bit. A lot of people are excited to see him in preseason, which it looks like he will be part of preseason. But then earlier today, French media is reporting that Leeds and a League One club are looking at him. There were some rumors out of Turkey, but the club said that there were no official offers ever made for Yazici. No official interest was ever brought for him. But now out of France, now there's teams looking at him there. I am going to stick with what I've been saying since before the summer started. I don't think Yazici puts the shirt on for an official match of Olympiacos. The player does not seem like an Mendilibar player to me. Even though I like his style, he's a player that I normally like, a profile I enjoy watching. I don't think he sticks around. I'm going to be honest. I've been saying it, and the closer we get to preseason and the closer we get to the end of the transfer summer, the more it seems like that is going to be the case.
Sorry, the I don't know what to say because my mind doesn't want to face what looks like the most likely outcome of it. Uh, Olympiacos is one of those clubs in which you are not allowed, unless you are fortunate, of course, to have a massive injury, because you can be sure that the club is going to sign half of the globe to fill the gap, and when you come back, you are fucked. And it pains me because Yazici has a lot to offer. Has a lot to offer. He's a very good player. He has experience. Uh, he has uh, he has pretty much everything we might need in this position. And I truly believe, I truly no, I truly want, I truly hope that if he leaves, it's after some friendlies. At least if he leaves, something that will most likely happen, in my opinion, I hope it will be at the end of the summer. Like maybe he needs to have like some kind of gentleman agreement with Mendilibar, saying, "Okay, just use me during friendlies, and if I'm not good enough, I'm leaving." I think it's probably the case. Like it's not written like that, but I can see it happening because we need space for the the European list, and it can't survive that. It can't survive the fact we signed Cabela and the fact that we need more wingers. It's cruel, but maybe he can turn things around because Mendilibar is the only coach we had recently that offers anyone the chance to turn things around. So who knows? Maybe he's gonna score during the friendlies. You on mute? I can hear you.
Oh, yes. No, I was saying as long as you're willing to put the work in and you put in the effort, he gives you a chance. That's always you listen to the instructions, you do what he wants you to do, and you put the work in. Mendilibar responds to that.
The
So,
question
but
is, because we take for granted that he might be leaving, but do you think that I have two questions. First question is, does Yazici has a price? Like, can we squeeze out a fee for the guy, or will if he leaves, will it be for mutual compensation, like without having to pay because he has a club signing him? And the second question is, if the guy isn't playing Europe, is it that much of an issue to keep Yazici if he somehow agrees not to be part of European list in the squad?
so the first part of your question is, can we extract a fee? So he's 28 years old, which ideally is, you're still 28. You're like, this is the final years of your prime, right? 28 to 31, 32. You're entering the final years of your prime. His contract is up with us in 2027. So we've got 2 more years. So as far as the contract duration, you're not losing value on a sale yet because he's still got time with you. But he's recovering from an ACL injury. He's 28. He hasn't played a lot of competitive football in the last couple of seasons, right? Injury or otherwise. So no team, without seeing him in preseason or without seeing how he plays in some official capacity, is going to risk even 5 million euros for this guy. Wrong side of his 20s, right? Final years of his prime, coming off of you have no idea how he's going to come back from this, what type of shape he is in. So no, I don't see us this summer. I don't see how we can sell him unless it's, team wants to bring him on loan maybe, or we cut his contract because there's another team that's going to take him. That's what I see happening. If we get money, it's going to be like 1 million, maybe 2 million, if that. Or maybe we sell for a very low fee. We retain a small percentage sell on. I don't see us getting much money, if at all, for him. But we do save the wage. He's on a pretty significant wage. So that's important to remember.
The only thing that frustrates me more than seeing Yazici leaving after having played 20 minutes is like I kind of feel that we want him gone because it's not possible to have players not in the European list but at the club. And it's true that in the past we ruined squads with that. When we signed James, for example, we had Pep Biel back then, and it kind of fucked the entire shape of the team. Like James, even Bakambu not playing in Europe, if I recall correctly, because he signed in September. But the question mark is, what does Yazici want? The guy is 28, as you said. He just came back from an insane injury. Isn't that better for him to stay at the club, even if he doesn't play Europe, at least to be an extra solution? Like, do you truly believe that a club like Leeds is going to play Yazici out of ACL? Probably, but the League One club that wants Yazici, supposedly, I don't think they're going to play Europe, or they're not going to play something better than winning titles. So at the end of the day, I don't really know what Yazici wants. I think he truly wants to prove he can be a solution. I think he will somehow be useful during the preseason. But man, it would be better for him to cut his contract and go back to Turkey for 1 2 years to get games and to claim a spot in the national team. But he has more to lose than the club, because you talked about the wage, and I agree that he's on a massive contract. But we had the example of Yaremchuk, for example. Those players like extra solution, the depth we did not have at the end of the season. Yazici can afford that. At
No,
the end of
you're right.
who cares about the wage at the end of it? Is the club uh, that fucked in terms of money to like expel Yazici without any big reason apart of the fact that it can't be registered in Europe? That's the
I
main question
mean,
for me.
that's going to come down to what Mendy says, right? And if Mendy sees him in preseason and thinks, he can't do what I ask, then the club doesn't have a choice. The club then has to just figure out how to get that off the books, because considering what we are able to produce, right? Let's say that we're getting 80 million in revenues this summer, right? So that's the squad ratio this year is 70%. You can only spend 70% on wages, amortized fees, bonuses, agency fees, all of it. So even if we have 80 million in revenues, that takes us down to about 56 million in total fees, salaries, bonuses, everything that we can afford on top of that. So 2 million is a decent chunk of money when you're only allowed to play with that 56, and you have about 22 million in salaries. People want you to spend on bigger
Oh yeah.
transfer fees. We're amortizing fees from last summer and the summer before still. You know what I mean? So like it all adds up, and you don't have a lot to work with. And that is assuming we get 30 million from Champions League. So that 2 million he's making, or 1.75 million, whatever the final wage was for him, I think it was about 2 million, is significant. It's a significant savings, but it's only savings if you're actually able to successfully get him off the books. So that's the truth.
No, yeah. But I don't know. It's the logic is very simple, as you said it, because at the end of it, it's basically mathematics. But it reminds me almost identically the debate we had in January over Yaremchuk. The guy was about to go to Sivasspor, those kind of club in January, if he hadn't scored that goal against Panathinaikos. And my main argument on that is that if we want more quality, you have to pay the quality. And you have to use the quality you have, and you have to rotate the team. And uh, at the end of the season, we had I would have changed Palma, for example, for Yazici, even if Yazici could not play in the Europa League, because we needed to rest some player for Bodo Glimt. Uh, I don't know. I think we can keep Yazici, ideally sell Velde, but I don't think it's possible. So we're gonna loan the guy and sign a winger, and that's it. We also have Masuras there. So the question is, what's happening with Masuras? And I don't know. More quality never hurt anyone. The issue is that when you have 40 players,
Right. And
and
yeah.
Champions League is not the only competition we play. We play the Greek League, we play the Greek Cup. We need players for those competitions.
Yep.
We have Yazici under contract anyway. So unless a club pulls 2 million, I think it's if any club comes with an offer, a real offer with real money on Yazici, he's gone.
Yes.
I
Look,
don't think the
Martial.
club's gonna re-sign the guy.
No, and then with regards to Veld, remember there's the loan offer from Lech Poznan that was reported. They want him back on loan with a 3 million euro buyout. That fee, I was told by a Polish journalist, would be a record transfer fee, like a record purchase for a Polish club, if they were to activate the buyout. So for me, look, you need to make space for a winger. You need to make sure you add some funds and wage space. Any money you get for Yazici, as long as they're going to take the wage off you, you take it. For Christopher Veld, if somebody takes him on loan for a season, you paid 4 million for him. They're going to pay his wages. You've amortized 2 years of that loan. A 3 million sale, you still make money. You're book positive with that. I'm doing those moves the second I get the real offer. That's how I see it. If Christopher Velde has no future in this club and it's been decided, boom, I'm taking Lech Poznan's loan. I'm not waiting to see if I get more money out of it. I'm letting it. They're going to pay his wage. Hopefully he does well. They take the option and I make money off of it in the end. That's how I prefer to do it. Same with Yazici. Now, would I be upset if Yazici stays? No, of course not. I like him. I think he's a great player. I'm just saying I don't I don't really believe that he will. I don't necessarily believe that he's going to stay. That's my whole point here. And I would rather get that money off of the books. Like I don't want to see the locker room crowded. We know Mendilibar only wants a squad of like 23 people. We probably have to twist his arm to get 2 more people on the squad list, at least for UEFA. But if he's not going to be useful, Mendy won't use him. I don't want him there. Just get rid of him. There's no point in forcing him there, fighting with the coach, and then the player being unhappy.
I, the thing I don't know is how much Yazici wants to come back to a good level with Olympiacos or with a club that he will be allowed to be a main starter, but at the lower level as a team.
Yeah.
Because if he pushes to leave, he's gone. I
Yep.
think if he doesn't ask for crazy money to resign, he's gone and he will find a new club. But I'm not 100% convinced that Yazici wants to leave, even if he does not play Champions League. He's gonna be disappointed for sure, but I don't know. I think the club has a lot to offer. The same applies for Betancourt on a different scale because he's
Right.
not gonna play Europe. Man, I can bet everything I have he's not gonna play Europe with us. But there is no point to push someone out that wants to be there and does not cost crazy money.
I'm with you. I'm with you there, man. I am with you there. And look, Martial, we know it's going to be a
Yes.
busy July. It's just because preseason's starting, the business isn't going to stop. Whether a winger comes or not tomorrow or the day after for preseason, we know we're going to sign 2 wingers. We're looking at a center back. And there was even mention of getting another type of attacking mid or something. So there's still moves. The club also there's a couple players they're hoping to sell and find upgrades for, guys like Francisco Ortega. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a pretty long summer. We were informed back in June, before June, that it was not going to be quiet. The summer's not going to be quiet. A lot of stuff going on. Questions here about Adino Santino Adino from Godoy. So we'll see. We'll see what we're going to spend. We made an initial offer already. He's a top prospect there, 19 years old. But we haven't offered anybody 9 million so far for anyone this summer. So if we can get him for a deal with a decent offer, they probably retain some rights or a sell on, then we'll see what ends up happening. Those Argentinian deals are tough. But guys, we're coming up to the end here. Martial, there's a lot more positivity than there was a couple of weeks ago. Now that we've made 2 signings, looking at the poll here, I asked how everybody felt about the squad going into preseason. 41% say great. They feel great about preseason. They feel great about the squad. 38% are okay. So maybe they're not super excited, but they're like, all right, we're doing something here. So 79% of the people that have taken this poll, 79% of the fans that are engaging with us, and over almost 400 people have so far in the show to this point, are at least positive. 8% terrible, feeling terrible, we need signings. 8%. 14% not feeling so great. They don't believe this is a UCL squad. So if we're talking about positive, non-positive, a whopping 79% seem to feel a little bit more positively about the club than not. So pretty positive, all things considered. So I'll take that, because all the whining that we've been hearing the last couple weeks about the business and otherwise, people have very short memories, Martial. So I'm glad that a couple of signings seems to have improved the mood in the room. Anyway, Martial, any final comments before we go ahead and close things up here?
No, nothing to add. It's good to remain relaxed, even if we play good or shit during friendlies, because it's friendly. The matter of them is to avoid injuries and to get fit for the first league games. And I truly hope the first league game will be easier than last season, because the core of the team has to speak from match day one. And I think it's going to be a very different start this season.
I'm with you. Well, guys, thank you all for tuning in. This is Adi Martial. This is Tidos International. Don't forget, for those of you that are still here with us, there's a few dozen of you that are still with us to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. We only need a few more subscribers to hit 7,000. Major milestone for us. And guys, while I have you, don't forget, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show. Nominate us. Sorry, it's not voting yet. It's just nominations. They reached out to us again from the Football Content Award. Nominate us for whatever category you think. Go to footballcontentaward.com or the FCA.com and nominate us for Best International Podcast. We were finalists last year. They want to see us there again. Let's do it. So help us submit the content. Tell them the reason why you think we would be a winner, or we should win Best International Podcast, or whatever nomination you think we should have. And let's see if we can go there and represent Greek football again. It was great for us to be there. The first Greek-based content to feature there is what we were told. So hopefully we can continue this. Hopefully we can make a presence there and maybe win something and show that Greek football and Olympiacos matters. So thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, we are literally just a few people away from 7,000. So help us hit that massive milestone. Thanks again for helping us get to 1 million views on the channel. Big stuff, and we're hoping for even bigger things with Champions League coming up this year. So thank you guys again. This is Tidos International. By the fans, for the fans. And we'll see you all next time.